Hello, everybody. Welcome to Salon sYmphoNY 2021, the virtual edition, the most international ever. We've already got about half a dozen countries in New York. We've been doing this for the past 10 years in various different locations in the real world, and I think once we did it in England for the UK on Skype. So obviously the pandemic has forced us online this year. So I think we're all used to the Zoom now and the exciting adventures you can have in your box. It reminds me of my racing days. So what else have I got to say? I think, yeah, this time last year we actually did this was the last live event I participated in and also went to when we did the Salon sYmphoNY on International Women's Day last year. So yeah, so it's good to be back in some way. Who knew it would take a whole year for us to know what was going on? But hopefully there is light at the end of the tunnel and artistry can continue to be celebrated. So on that note, I'll pass over to our illustrious founder of the International Women Artists Salon, which is kind of the supporting organisation for the Salon sYmphoNY event. Miss Heidi Russell!
Oh! Hello, everybody. Wonderful to see you all and connect with some longtime friends and sister artists and meet some new fantastic, as we now call you, Salonistas around the world. So Jenny, thank you for hosting and coordinating again this year. It's been quite a challenging year, and we haven't done too much in the way of programming this year. For a number of reasons, but we're getting back in the swing with International Women's Month here. So we're so glad to have all of you here today to help us kick off the month. And there's going to be many things happening throughout the month. So be sure to follow us on all our social media, whatever your portal happens to be, Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, etc., regular email. And again, this is our 10th year, and we're just really, really excited to keep the tradition rolling. And I'm just going to pass it right back to Jenny, because I know some of you are probably getting a little bit tired for the place in the world that you're at. So I'm going to send it back to Jenny and take it away with our sympathy. Symphony.
Sympathy, a symphony of sympathies. I'm quite tired in the part of the world that I'm in, I have to say, and it's still daylight here. I think my auntie might be joining. She disguises herself as iPhone so she can be top secret. But hi, Grace, that's you. Yeah, so it's Salon, the International Women Artists Salon celebrates the International Women's Day as an annual event with our symphony of women's voices from around the world. Usually it's New York based, but actually the pandemic has enabled us to be more international than ever. The International Women's Day itself has been going since about 1908, so it's a fantastic institution, and we have a great assemblance of lady artists with us this evening, a lot of whom are illustrious alumna of the American Academy of Dramatic Arts, which is in itself a great institution of international women artists. So yay, welcome friends, it's good to see you all. So if you can all stay muted until it's your turn, that will help a little bit. Audience members, you can either have your video on or off, it's up to you, and we're delighted to have you. Thank you so much for joining us. Thank you for your support. We'll have a break in about an hour for the loo, and then hopefully we'll have some more fabulous artists to join us. Heidi, if you can make sure that people are muted as well, and get the names of the artists. You'll see the artist's name, the country that they're representing, the nation that they're representing, and also the artists that they're honouring. So these are all current women artists around the world who are honouring other women artists from their chosen nations of origin. And we start off this evening, the home of drama, of course, Greece, as theatre history fans know, in spite of Todd Peters. And we have the wonderful Maria Nora, who is was born in Athens, Greece. I'm just going to read the bio, but the bios have been posted now on Facebook, but I'm just going to give you a bit of background. Maria has a BA in sociology, and she's a working actress, and she was a working actress from her late teens. She studied acting at the American Academy of Dramatic Arts in New York City, and she also worked there as an actress and a producing artist in various theatre and producing companies around the city. And she returned back to her beloved homeland in the middle of the Greek crisis. She was a bit like Helen of Troy going back there to try and fix it up, and I don't know if that worked out. And she developed her former love for the art of photography, and from 2015 until now, she's presented 2 solo exhibitions in photography, and she's participated in a group one. And she currently works as a freelance translator and a product photographer. Maria is going to honour Katina Paxinou, excuse my Greek, and she will tell us a lot more about her, but she is basically the only Greek actress to have won an Oscar. And so, as I pointed out to Maria, she needs to get a move on, because there's obviously room for improvement there. So yeah, I'll pass it over to Maria, and then she can add anything else from the biography of Katina Paxinou if she wants to. Maria, over to you. Thank you very much.
Thank you for the lovely intro. First of all, let me all know if you can hear me well because of my accent. Okay, except for Jenny. Just a little bit of my intro. I saw Jenny a year ago, was it? Huh? 2 years ago.
Pre-pandemic, it was like April. Yeah, I guess it was pre-pandemic, so 2019, wasn't it?
So the interesting thing about people that you really love is like, I haven't seen her for like 8 years. And then we met in Athens, and it was like yesterday in costume department. Anyway, so thank you for the invitation. How do I start? How much time do I have?
You've got 10 seconds left now, Maria, because you've used all your time to talk about the costume department.
Okay, so
you've got 3 minutes.
I wanted to share with you the story of Katina Paxinou for 2 reasons. Before I share my screen again with sound this time, the first reason is that it's a very interesting story as a story. She was the founding member, one of the founding members of the National Theatre here in Greece. And in the midst of the World War II, she was born in 1923. In the midst of the World War II, it was like 1940. She left Greece and she went to the UK, and then from the UK she went to the US, and she was there like for a year, and then they gave her a role in the film For Whom the Bell Tolls, you know the film, okay, without an audition, without being seen by anyone, and she got an Oscar. Like, it's a very weird story, because it's like, we as foreigners, if we go to the United States, like it may take like a lifetime to do something, and then we go back and we are, you know what I mean, right, everybody? Okay. And that happened in 1944. It was like in the midst of the World War II, where the whole world was in this turmoil. And then she came back, like me. She returned home, and she did a lot of theater. And she passed away from cancer around 1970, 71. So the interesting story about this woman has to do with the fact that 3 weeks ago, here in Greece, we had a huge beginning of the Me Too movement. So the ex-artistic director of the National Theatre, if you go and you Google it, you'll see the whole story. He got arrested for child molestation, multiple child molestation. We're talking about 100 kids or so. It's like, it's a ridiculous story. Like, I'm not proud of it at all. But it says a lot about the way we treat the art in general. And it's not a nice thing. Like, it's very sad. I'm very sad right now because we have the COVID, we have this sexual drama going on, and there are a lot of women out there here in Greece that they start talking now, because my country is like, as you may know, we have this patriarchy. It's a Greek word actually, and women are not treated well. Homosexuals are not treated well. So I hope that now is the time that this thing changes, like, and there is also another reason why I wanted to share this video with you, because I think in recent times we have overestimated the importance of being popular, of being famous, of being something of, you know, like, if you get an award, you are something important. So we have to move the importance from this side to the other side of doing art, and meaning like art, meaning theater, meaning poetry. I do photography now, and sharing our art with other people without thinking if it's important for, like, help me out with this.
I mean, without having commercial,
without the
constraints?
commerciality of it.
Mhm.
Like doing art for ourselves, for people, for our soul, for our deep souls. No. And that is the video I'm going to share with you shows exactly that. That it takes like a minute or so for them to give them the Oscar. They give the Oscar and bye-bye. You know, it is not that important. Like, and I think this is what happens right now with the COVID. Like, I didn't even hear about Golden Globes this year. Did you hear anything? Like, did you see anything? Any dresses? Any shoes? Any, like we go back to the importance of why we do what we do as human beings. And I think what helps with that is the distance we took from all this, and to dive inside our hearts and give the best to other people. That's it. So I'm going to share the video and then we continue with the next person.
Sounds
okay?
great. That was wonderful, Maria. Thank you.
All right. Did you understand my words? Was it my accent good? Thank you.
I mean, it was better than my Greek. So
Gracias.
yeah.
Ευχαριστώ. Ευχαριστώ.
Ευχαριστώ, Maria.
Okay.
In Los Angeles, Greer Garson presents the famous Oscar to Jennifer Jones, star of the Song of Bernadette. This is the 16th annual award by the Academy of Motion Picture Arts and Sciences. George Murphy presents the coveted little man to Paul Lucas for his outstanding performance in Walk on the Run. Teresa Wright makes the award to Katina Paxson for her excellent supporting role in For Whom the Bell Tolls. For Best Supporting Actor, Donald Crisp hands it to Charles Coburn in The More the Merrier. Universal led the color division with Phantom of the Opera. Jack Benny sponsors another best to Jack Warner for producing Casablanca.
That's it. Was the same year that Casablanca got the Oscar for. That's it.
What are these old white men doing, trying to break into our International Women's Day event? It's outrageous. It's a hostile takeover. Okay, Maria, thank you so much. That was lovely. If you could mute yourself from those old white men, then that would be fab.
You can't have it all.
You can't have it all.
Step by step. Step by step.
Yeah. See, the Greeks know, guys. Thank you. Okay, so next up we have from the beautiful valleys slightly across the water from here and the wonderful Laura Lee Reid from Wales. And Laura Lee also went to the American Academy of Dramatic Arts. And she was born in Swansea, South Wales. Somebody's not muted. Who's not muted? Sorry. Much as I like the sound of my own voice, this does sound hideous on Zoom. So Laura was born in Swansea in the 80s, one of my favourite decades. She loves a Welsh cake and a cookie and the red dragon on the flag, of course. And Tom Jones once made famous the green, green grass of home. Did you like my accent there, lol?
I absolutely loved it, actually. Lovely.
So Laura Lee is going to be honouring Cerys Matthews, who many of you will have heard of, and I'll let Laura Lee tell you a little bit more about her before she honours her with some of her song lyrics. I was hoping that she was going to do Bonnie Tyler from a local lass from Mumbles, but unfortunately she didn't really write her own songs, did she? So old Cerys will have to do.
Cerys will have to do. Yeah, Bonnie actually lives up the road from me, but someone wrote her words. So Cerys Matthews, she basically made Wales cool in the noughties, and she was a rock chick. So she learned like 4 different languages, and she worked with quite a few people around the world. But leading on from what Maria said about mindfulness, I think the lyrics that I've chosen kind of adds into that. One of her most famous songs that she was first recognized for was Road Rage. So here we go. If all you've got to do today is find peace of mind, come round, you can take a piece of mine. And if all you've got to do today is hesitate, come here, you can leave it late with me. You could be taking it easy on yourself. You should be making it easy on yourself, because you and I know it's all over the front page. You give me road rage, racing through the best days. It's up to you. Boy, you're driving me crazy, thinking you may be losing your mind. If all you've got to prove today is your innocence, well, calm down. You're as guilty as can be. If all you've got to lose alludes to yesterday, yesterday's through. Now do anything you please. You could be taking it easy on yourself. You should be making it easy on yourself, because you and I know it's all over the front page. You give me road rage, racing through the best days. It's up to you. Boy, you're driving me crazy, thinking you may be losing your mind. You're just losing your mind because you've been racing through the best days. Thank you.
Fabulous.
Thanks.
Yeah, that was a wonderful retelling of the Road Rage story.
It was Road Rage story, yes.
We don't normally slow down and listen to that. We just normally have road rage and don't actually pay attention to it. Now, that was Laura Lee Reid there, respecting Cerys Matthews from a wonderful land of Wales. Thank you. So next up, we have Mexico in our original schedule, but Adriana, I just want to check in with England, because I know Emily Eden / Peter Hunter, I don't know who she is now, has light issues in her apartment because she lives in a New Yorkian hovel.
I'm all good. I can, you know, I can let Mexico go.
Okay, that's fine.
Are you sure?
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you, Adriana.
Thanks.
And you're currently in Spain, right?
I am. I'm going to shoot a film starting tomorrow.
Oh, cool. That's so exciting.
It's very exciting.
Excellent.
Yes.
Let me give you a bit of an intro then. Adriana Clabres is an actress who was born and raised in Mexico City and studied at the East 15 Conservatory in London. So that'll be why she sounds like a Cockney when she speaks in English. And she moved to NYC and graduated from the American Academy of Dramatic Arts.
Yes.
And then you worked there as a part of the mission panel for Latin America. Or I might try and go back, if only my Spanish was good enough. And you are now Mexico's theatre it girl. I like that. And one of the 50 people who are changing Mexico. Adriana is in Narcos, Mexico, in seasons 2 and 3, and she's shooting a Spanish production film written at the Cannes Script Lab by Violeta Salama, and that's where you're joining us from now. Adriana is going to honour, is it Jimena Gonzalez?
Yes, that's right.
Who is a writer and spoken word poet. So she's been in several festivals, but I'll let you speak a little bit more about Jimena and then honour her work. Thank you, Adriana.
Thank you. She's a 20-year-old, a very brave girl who is writing about women. And right now in Mexico, we have this situation of femicide, which is women getting killed for the sake of being women. The government is not recognizing this as femicide. They're just saying it's like any other crime. But 11 women are dying every day in Mexico just because they're women, by their partners, by parents, all of them men. So this is a poem that I really like, and here it goes. I translated it, so for you to understand. It's called Las Otras, which means the others, by Jimena Gonzalez, from her book, Todavía Tiemblo, I'm Still Shaking. The women in my family, my father's family, are always the others. They have no proper name when they are evoked by their so-called lovers. All Josefinas crying purple spots hidden on their necks. All Josefinas waiting that Benito will leave his wife, will stop drinking, will stop living. I write to heal me, to heal them, to be something more than victims, someone who's more than something, much more than the others, to uproot the competition with which we were indoctrinated. I write to learn that we'll love plenty and we'll love many, and it is not a cause for shame, that we desire many, we desire them much, and that should never ever hurt. Because I come from a family of women who feel compelled to laugh at offensive jokes of their drunken husbands, of women locked up and silent. I write to provoke them to scream, to tear from their souls the "you shut up." I write for my grandmother, Josefina, so that she reincarnates as a ballerina, for my aunt, so she doesn't cry again, so her bones don't hurt, so that my grandmother, Maria, leaves my grandfather many more times, and she has boyfriends many, many more times, so she keeps writing poetry and no longer is afraid to show her body. I scream for the bleeding knees of my great-grandmother Emilia, who would pray to the Virgin. I scream so she reincarnates in the Sea of Guerrero and knocks down the altars with a tsunami. In my feet, I entangle the roots and there are clouds in my hands so that Ale does not return to Morelos and Gabriela gets tired of Noé, so that the pain goes away with the ease with which our fathers left. To never see my 11-year-old body lying in the kitchen asking for forgiveness for not feeding my grandfather again with his lewd eyes, and not to defend purity of false consanguineous prophets who squeezed my chest until I broke, so that no bastard will rub his body on my cousin's legs again when she comes home from school, and break the damn vicious circle of family secrets stained with pedophilia, incest, beatings, and blood, so that we can be named, so that it does not cease to rumble in the head until we scream. I raise my voice so we are not denied, because we have a name and we will not let them forget it. This was The Others by Jimena Gonzalez.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Adriana. It's very important.
Thank you.
Thank you. And best of luck with your movie. Super exciting. We got an
Thank
it
you,
girl
Jen.
here, guys.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Okay, so next up, I think on the original schedule, I don't know if I switched it around. I don't know if it's Scotland or England, and that's always a controversial battle, isn't it? The old Anglo-Scots battle. Now, I am mindful that Angela Milton, who is representing for the lovely land of Scotland, where I claim some origin as well, is actually in Edinburgh. So it's pretty late over there. So I think maybe, Angela, would you like to go next?
I don't mind, whatever's easiest. I'm used to being up late, so.
Oh, bit of a night owl.
Yeah.
All right, let's go for Scotland then. Let's do it in order of greatness. Scotland too. So Angela is Scottish and trained as an actor at the American Academy of Dramatic Arts in New York City. And she's lived and worked in the US for almost 6 years before returning to her native Scotland. And her favourite roles include Meg in The Birthday Party, which I saw, and it was very good. And Jenny Geddes in Creepy Stool, and Queen Atossa in The Persians. And Angela is going to be honouring Jen McGregor, who's a writer, dramaturg and director, and she will tell us a little bit more about her and then pay tribute to her work. Angela, take it away.
Thank you. So Jen McGregor is a Scottish playwright. As you heard, she trained as a director at Mountfew down in London, but she has done a lot of writing and creating of theatre in the few years that I've known her. She has won an Assembly Roxy Prize for a play which was based on a real life story about a female witch pricker, which was someone who would find witches back in the 1600s. It's a fascinating story. If there's a story about a strong woman to be found, Jen will hunt it out and she'll write about it. And she creates these amazing characters. And in fact, she deliberately does that to find amazing women. And if she can find amazing women from real life, she will try and write those. And she is passionate about making sure that women are represented on stage. And it's fantastic to have such a great writer doing that. And I was lucky enough to be in a play of hers called Creepy Stool, which is a strange title, but it's actually about a small stool. A creepy stool is a small stool that people might take to church. Back in the 1600s, you could take your own stool to church to wait. Rich people had their own nicer chairs, but a creepy stool was a small one that's, lesser people would take with them. And there was a woman called Jenny Geddes who may or may not have existed, but the personage who Jenny Geddes was caused a 3-day riot in Edinburgh, and eventually ended up changing the churches in Edinburgh in Scotland because the people were very unhappy about things that were going on in the church at that point. So Jen McGregor wrote this piece about Jenny Geddes, lots of Jennies today, yay, called Creepy Stool because the riot was caused by Jenny Geddes throwing a stool at a minister and causing the riot. So this first piece that I'm going to do is just the sort of introduction to Jenny Geddes, who's a complicated woman. and someone who is afraid of the other, something that is unfamiliar and has a fear. But what Jen McGregor manages to find is a humanity in a woman who maybe isn't the kind of person you'd want to associate with all the time, but who was a woman being strong in a time when women could not really be seen or heard. So hoping that all makes sense. And I'll just give you a wee flavour of Jenny Geddes. I'm not apologising, if that's what you're waiting for. It'll be a cold day in hell before Jenny Geddes says she's sorry for speaking the truth and shaming the devil. I was the right person in the right place at the right time. And I believe God put me there to do his work. If Mistress Erskine had been early to the kirk that day, I'd have been out of her pew and all the way at the back. I'd still have flung the stool, or at least I'd have tried. My wee Tam would likely have stopped me. He's a calm laddie, takes after his father. Wouldn't be the first time he'd taken something out of my hand as I was about to fling it. But if I had flung the stool from all the way at the back, it would never have hit the minister. And my Tammy's not so wee anymore. He'd have had me out of the kirk like a shot, so no one could ever ask me why I'd done it. There's people saying that what I did was blasphemy, others that it's treason. But how can it be blasphemy to stand up to papish idolatry? And how can it be treason to stand up against the actions of a king when those actions go against God? They can't. So I'm not sorry. I'm not.
That was great, Angela. What a fascinating story.
Yeah.
A creepy stool was something to do with a bowel movement. So, oh, love it. The power of the stool. There you go.
Yeah.
Which brings me on to England. And the wonderful Emily Eden, who almost needs no introduction. And she's honouring Julie Andrews, who almost certainly needs no introduction. But Emily is originally from England and now feels like she is a New Yorker, which is why she feels at liberty to have a man's name from time to time. Emily has worked extensively on stage, screen, and as a voiceover artist. And she is currently continuing to make recordings out of her own wardrobe. My mum's just coming in, so I just have to pre-warn you that there might be some squawking and calling of the dog. And she normally says, "Is it on? Can you see me? Am I here?" Anyway, I'll just say that before she actually does appear, so she doesn't think I'm being rude about her behind her back. Anyway, in 2020, I'm so sorry about my mum ruining your introduction there, Emily. She does call herself Emily though, so there you go. That's probably how she knew. She was like, she could feel that there was another Emily in the, yeah. So in 2020, Emily's first book in play format was published, called Dagmar. That's awesome. And today, Emily is going to be honouring the one and only Julie Andrews. And there's a couple of fascinating facts that Emily sent along about Julie here, which I was not aware of, but I'll let her fill you in and then offer her tribute to Julie. Take it away, Emily.
Thank you, Jenny. Just for the record, I'm half Scottish too. So just saying, putting that out there. It's a very, conflicting subject when it comes to Queen Elizabeth and Mary Queen of Scots being half and half, but there we go. So hi guys, I'm Emily and I'm from England and I'm going to dedicate the next few minutes to honouring Dame Julie Andrews. So for the past 7 decades, Julie Andrews has had a career on stage and screen. She has played many iconic roles, including Maria von Trapp and of course Mary Poppins. Don't get me started on the remake. Julie Andrews was born as Julie Elizabeth Wells on October the 1st, 1935 in Surrey, England. And she was the result of her mother having a scandalous affair. There we go. Fun fact there. In 1947, she made her West End debut, and a few years later, she would become a huge Broadway star, starring in The Boyfriend. So one of my favourite stories that I've heard about Dame Julie Andrews is that she was snubbed for the role of Eliza Doolittle in My Fair Lady by Jack Warner of Warner Brothers, in spite of having played the role on Broadway a few years earlier. Jack wanted someone more known and who was more of a star, so cast Audrey Hepburn instead. But as a result of not getting the part of Eliza, Julie Andrews was free to be cast by Disney as Mary Poppins. And of course, she would go on that year to beat Audrey Hepburn and win the Academy Award as well as the Golden Globes. And Mary Poppins would beat My Fair Lady at the box office that year too. So this story is one of the main reasons I chose to pay homage to Julie Andrews. And she's got a bit of spunk, actually. She was asked to do the vocals of the recording of My Fair Lady, and she said she never would have, and she would have spat in someone's eye had she have done the vocals for Audrey Hepburn in My Fair Lady. So let's not, think she's all prim and proper, really. Our Julie is a true British lass at heart. So there we go. But I wanted to do her to remind us all that if something hasn't gone our way and the way we hoped, that perhaps it just wasn't meant to be, and something else is intended for us. And this past year has caused many of us to pivot and change directions in life, especially those of us who have lost jobs. Dame Julie Andrews is also a great example of how to take what life throws at us, redirect, and keep calm and carry on. Of course. In 1997, Julie Andrews experienced damage to her voice, and a correctional surgery would result in her never being able to sing again. Imagine having your greatest asset gone. I'm pretty sure that's something that many of us can relate to this year, like in these past few days. Julie Andrews, however, did not retire from the spotlight. Instead, she continued to make lots of movies and continue to work in voiceover. Yes, Bridgerton fans, that is Julie Andrews' voice. Getting a bit raunchy down there. She's, narrating it. She's probably filling out her dreams. But anyway, so I encourage all of you who may feel a little lost or down on your luck right now to have a go walking down a different path and perhaps keep faith that you will get to where you want to be. And that's it. So just hang in there. And right now I'd love to do a little snippet of Mary Poppins. Feel free to sing along, just so you know, my pug might join in. So this could go terribly. But yeah, I'm going to sing a little snippet, and it would be lovely if you all sang along at home in true British spirit hurrah. So here we go. Early each day on the steps of St. Paul's, the little old bird woman comes in her own special way to the people she calls. Come buy my bags full of crumbs. Come feed the little birds, show them you care, and you'll be pleased if you do. The young ones are hungry, the nests are so bare, all it takes is tuppence from you. Feed the birds, tuppence a bag, tuppence, tuppence, tuppence a bag. Feed the birds, that's what she cries, while overhead the birds fill the skies. All around the cathedral the saints and apostles look down as she sells her ware. Although you can't see it, you know she is smiling each time someone shows that they care. No, her words are simple and few. Listen, listen, she's calling to you. Feed the birds, tuppence a bag, tuppence, tuppence, tuppence a bag. Thank you very much, guys. Have a lovely day and happy International Women's Day.
Thank you, Emily. I'm going to give you one of these. I love that song. You did her proud. Thank you. That was fabulous. Emily Eden with the equally fabulous Julie Andrews. So we're sort of halfway through our schedule of pre-planned guests. So I just wanted to share with you, every year International Women's Day has a theme, or it has done ever since websites were invented, which actually was quite a long time ago now, wasn't it? So this year's theme is Choose to Challenge. And you sort of have to hold your hand up like this and challenge status quo, ask questions about power structures, sexism, violence against women, all these things that we have already talked about this evening, feeding birds and throwing stools and winning Oscars and all of those things. And so I have a short film which is from the official International Women's Day organisation, which I'm going to share with you. And then I'll pop back in, and then we're just going to have a quick pee break or wee break, depending upon where you are in the world. And then we'll come back for the second half of our programme with some other awesome artists. So let me just see if I can share my screen.
Gender is a pre-written book, and the plot is boring. Daughter, girlfriend, mother, wife, rip out the pages, staple them to your back, and start soaring. Pretty, quiet, weak. They will try to describe you with such things, but you will use their stereotypes and turn them into your wings. When you choose to challenge, gender is a pre-written book. But not all the girls' stories end the same way. 33,000 girls are forced to become child brides every day. 132 million girls are not in school. And their futures are balloons that they watch drift away. But you are the full stop to the story. You are the new sentence that takes it on a different road. When you speak up, you open your palms and you share the load. When you choose to challenge, gender is a pre-written book, but not all of the characters are included, like the First Nations women who stand as still as statues, always walked past but never acknowledged or seen, or migrant women whose culture stands like a skyscraper, and they're forced to burn down the parts of themselves society doesn't deem convenient, or refugee women who are treated with brutality when we should have been lenient. And you are there as the story unfolds, and you are faced with a choice. So choose to challenge. Gender is a pre-written book, and this is your chance to add your own chapter, to call out racism and sexism, and use courage to rub it out, to stand where the rest of the world has chosen to sit, to call it out at home, at work, at school, bit by bit, to scream where the world has chosen to whisper, not just for your daughter, your mother, or your sister. Let us choose to challenge. Gender is a pre-written book, and if you're listening to this, then your actions are the pen, your life is the paper. You are not the oppression of the past. I believe that you are so much greater, stronger, kinder. Choose to create history, not to be created by it. Choose to challenge.
There we go. So that's why we're all celebrating this fantastic day, because really every day should be women's.
I almost thought you're gonna press the dislike button.
No, never.
I'm joking. I'm joking.
Mm.
I'm humoring.
Well, stop doing that. We have no humour here. But no, there is a serious reason that we have to commemorate this day, because gender inequality is still rife, ridiculously enough. Even though this event has been going on for more than 100 years, it did start in New York City as part of a labour movement of working women. And so, you know, it has very powerful origins as working women try to redress the imbalances in society and achieve better rights for all. And yet still, as we have spoken about several times this evening, women suffer enormous iniquities and violence against them, which is unacceptable. So by having events like this and focusing on the artistry and the brilliance of women everywhere, hopefully we can continue to redress the balance and choose to challenge. So we are going to have a little break now, about 5 minutes. So I'm going to put on the Road Rage song. And so feel free just to turn off your camera if you want to. Make sure you're muted. Laura Lee's back for the dance party. You can have a dance actually.
Where is Margaret?
M.
M. Where is M?
Being shy in the background. Mum Maria.
Hi, M.
Okay. So yeah, my mum's here. Hi, Mum.
I miss you. I hope you're well.
I miss her too. It's a long time since I've been able to give her a big hug. And of course, my mum and my auntie are twins, and their birthday falls right around International Women's Day. So I think that's significant in some way. So let's take a 5 minute break. We'll come back at 6:02 now. So we'll come back just after it's about 6:07, I suppose, because I know how to do maths. So I'm going to turn off our video, turn on the song, and we'll have a little break, and we'll be back very soon. So thank you so much to our wonderful artists that we've had so far. We've had Maria Neora representing Greece, we've had Laura Lee Reid representing Wales, we've had Adriana Calabrese representing Mexico, we've had Angela Milton for Scotland, and Emily Eden for England. And what a fantastic group of women we've had, and great artists that we've all been made a little bit more aware of. So without further ado, let's have some road rage.
All you got to do,
I'm going to turn the video off and go to the loo.
Is find peace of mind. Can take a piece of mind. And if all you've got to do today is hesitate, come here, you can leave it late with me. You could be taking it easy on yourself. You should be making it easy on yourself. 'Cause you and I know it's all over the front page. You give me road rage, racing to the best days. It's up to you, boy, you're driving me crazy. Thinking you may be losing your mind. If all you've got to prove today is your innocence, calm down, you're as guilty as can be. You could be taking it easy on yourself. You should be making it easy on yourself. 'Cause you and I know it's all over the front page. You give me road rage, racing to the best days. It's up to you, boy, you're driving me crazy. Thinking you may be losing your mind. You're losing your mind. You've been racing to the best days. Space age, road age, fast age, and if all 'cause you and I know it's all over the front page. You give me road rage, racing to the best days. It's up to you, boy, you're driving me crazy. Thinking you may be losing your mind, but you and I know we all live in the spaces. Coming down the road rage, racing to the best days. It's up to you, boy, you're driving me crazy. Thinking you may be losing your
Yay!
Who could have
Ooh.
known that the smallest
Wait a
changes
second.
could make the biggest
That was fabulous. Keris Matthews there singing about road rage, which is something that we all know a little bit about. So we've got several more nations to represent. If there's anybody in the audience that wants to contribute and commemorate a woman artist from wherever they're zooming in from, then you're more than welcome to do so after our programme of scheduled artists have done their bit. I've got a couple of quotations from great women artists around the world, and so I'm just going to read a couple of them just to keep you inspired. So we've got Catherine Hepburn, who said, "I have not lived as a woman, I have lived as a man. I've just done what I damn well wanted to, and I've made enough money to support myself and ain't afraid of being alone." So she didn't do too badly as a woman, did she? And then we've got Aung San Suu Kyi, who said, "In societies where men are truly confident of their own worth, women are not merely tolerated but valued." That's also very true. And Nawal El Sawadi, who's a writer on women in Islam and is a psychiatrist, said, "They said, you are a savage and dangerous woman. I'm speaking the truth, and the truth is savage and dangerous." So there you go. Those are some quotations from inspirational women, artists and politicians, I think. So anyway, without further ado, let's move along with our fabulous programme this evening. And next up, I think we're going to go to the lovely island of Ireland with Nicola Murphy, who is also in New York at the moment. Nicola is an Irish actress and director and the artistic director of On the Keys, which is a New York-based international production company. Nicola also trained at the American Academy of Dramatic Arts in New York. Ooh, and received her MFA in directing from the Lear Academy at Trinity College in Dublin. And you can find out more about Nicola by going to her website at nicolamurphy.com. Nicola is going to be honouring writer, memoirist, novelist, poet Edna O'Brien, who was born in 1930. So I'll let Nicola tell you a little bit more about Edna and then present her homage to another great woman artist from Ireland. Nicola, take it away.
Thank you, Jenny. It's great to be here on International Women's Day and to be honouring the wonderful Edna O'Brien. As Jenny said, she is an Irish novelist, memoirist, playwright, poet, and short story writer. Former President of Ireland, Mary Robinson, cited her as one of the great creative writers of her generation. Her works often revolve around the inner feelings of women and their problems in relating to men and in society as a whole. And she was quite groundbreaking in that she really was writing about women and women's issues at a time when women were really oppressed everywhere, but also particularly in Ireland, you know, with the Catholic Church. Most of her books were banned by the church, which, you know, just makes me kind of love her even more. She's a winner of the Frank O'Connor Short Story Award, the LA Times Book Prize, National Arts Club Gold Medal, and the Irish Pen Lifetime Achievement Award, and is an honorary member of the American Academy, not the American Academy of Dramatic Arts, the American Academy of Arts and Letters. And I actually had the great honor of meeting her at the 92nd Street Y a few years back, and she signed a copy of Country Girl, which is her memoir, which I'm going to read just a little excerpt from this evening. So this is just a little bit about kind of her time in Dublin when she was a young woman there and some of the characters that she met. So here we go. Some have died for love, some for the nation, but I met my death through the Dublin Corporation. Such was the rhyme I recited to myself on my perilous journey to one or two of the chemist shops owned by my employers. In Cabra Road, the clientele was poor. Chisners rapping the glass counter for tuppence or threepence worth of gentian violet for me sister's worms. Whereas in the Navan Road, the clients were more effete, bluff men in tweed jackets and wives with husky voices who came or sent their chauffeurs to collect dexedrine tablets, which were reputed to be uppers and also good for slimming. My duties in both shops at first were fairly menial. I would stack the shelves, weigh packets of Epsom salts, Glober salts, borax, and boric acid into small paper bags and label them, and gradually acquaint myself with the prescriptions of two rival doctors, which were written in Latin. My shop coat was a feature, since it had a stiff collar not unlike a priest's, with a panel of mother-of-pearl buttons across the left shoulder. Dublin was full of stories, some funny and spry, and sometimes gruesome. A blonde nurse known for her flamboyance, who drove a red MG, provided illegal abortions in a dingy room while ostensibly offering cures for dandruff and constipation. Her methods were primitive, injecting a solution of ergot and a flushing out with Jay's fluid. But unfortunately, she fell foul of the law when a dead mother was found on a curb in Hume Street and a newborn baby abandoned on the side of a road in County Meath. She was sentenced to penal servitude in Mountjoy Prison, not far from the chemist shop where I, longing for love-making novenas for love, was nevertheless haunted by the spectre of Mamie Cadden, who to some was an angel of deliverance, to others a murderer, and who would die, declared insane, in a lunatic asylum in Dundrum. There were as well the old codgers at street corners dying for talk, reeling off the names and nicknames of legendary characters, Zosimus, Johnny Fortycoats, Paddybone Sweeney, along with the balladeers and poets and poetasters and pensioners with their God be with the old days, the glory days. And how Dublin would have been finished during the war, except for the horses and horsemen who ran their hearts out to be of service. Around the gates of Trinity College were the medical students, with their smart mufflers, among them a few foreigners from deepest Africa who were all reputed to be princes in their own right. And that's that.
Fabulous. An inspiring writer and funny as well. That was Edna O'Brien being honoured by the wonderful Nicola Murphy. Thank you very much, Nicola. Next up, we have the nation of Serbia, who is being represented by Sofia Roma. Dr. Sofia Roma is the author of 15 stage plays. She's produced off-Broadway and off-Broadway. Plays have been produced off-Broadway and off-Broadway. And she is an international award-winning screenwriter and film director. Roma has served as the literary manager of the Negro Ensemble Company, and she's the producing artistic director of the Garden of the Avant-Garde Film and Theatrical Foundation, dedicated to achieving gender parity in theatre and fostering peace through performance art. And you can find out more about that by going to gardenoftheavantgarde.com. And we'll put these links and the bios should also be on the International Women Artists Salon Facebook page, so you can find out more, and possibly on a website somewhere. So you can follow up all these wonderful artists and check up on their careers and follow their progress. This evening, Dr. Roma will be honouring, excuse my Serbian, Sofia, not
please.
Possibly I've never done it before. It's only slightly worse than my Greek. So you'll be honouring Desanka Maximovic,
Yes, it is Shanka Maximovich. Yes.
She was the first female Serbian poet to gain widespread acceptance in the Yugoslav literary milieu, which was, of course, predominantly male for a long time. I will let Sophia tell you more about Dušanka and pronounce her name properly. Over to you, Sophia. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, and it's such a pleasure and an honor to be here, as always, celebrating the talent of historical monumental women and, of course, our contemporary compatriots today and colleagues. So Dušanka Maximovich was, in fact, the first female Serbian poet to gain this acceptance into the Yugoslav milieu, but also she remained so for 7 decades, which I find very important. And although I usually handle thematically the lives of female poets that have been exiled or repressed, she was also exiled and repressed in the way that she was condemned to writing only children's works, which I don't know if is a condemnation, but still nonetheless, she was a poet of monumental stature and was inevitably by Tito's government exiled into just writing a certain niche. She did write, in fact, a poignant work called Kravavaya Bajka, which is a bloody tale about the Wehrmacht's killing of school children in Kragujevac massacre. And that is what I honor that poem today. So bear with me, complicated as it is. It's called October in Kragujevac, Serbia. That's a region in Serbia with the massacre. Under the pale blue of sky, 100 souls rounded up to die. Knee-skinned boys with burgeoning prickly mustaches upon which artfully played the cherubs of ardent youth. The victims awaited that soft earth to fill the circumference of their circumcised gaping mouths as the beat of the sun tumbled their future way down. While marking up their nameless coffins with bitter autumn light, paying no homage to any particular one, for there were none left to gaze up at the seeping away of an amber afternoon light. Like death signs its dreaded name upon the ornate horizons, and even famous men are struck down by the stark, maddening silence. Only those bastards of sin rise above the smoky, ghastly mountaintops to commence their sacrilegious waltz with anarchy all over again. There, where the shadows of our weeping ancestors cling onto the prism of willow dreams, and the poetess Maximovich turns our heartstrings to mush, and in those lush forests where demons crush the nobility of angels, where the snowy peaks shimmer with mortal fright, whence bloody wars raged among the ages, yet still the imperialists fight. There, where the schoolchildren garlands gather, there where the daffodils grow and September gives way to November, while the brave masters of damned universe on battlefields mourn for the tragic loss of daily bread and a vibrant home, 100 hostages executed for every German soldier killed. 144 murders of youth were revealed as burgundy wine on cobblestone spilled. Boys with their shiny poignant shields, with their passionate hopes singled out, selected, and without mercy killed. Marched like ripe cattle into vast killing fields where God's eyes had been fed to the ravaged vultures, and with skill outside the city snuffed out as heavy machine guns cried out, each name with a toe tag morgue number, each rebellious figure with taunt on its tongue, each feigned surrender which carried a mother's unbearable hurt. Then their bodies were burned and buried in the ditch of doom, where the massacre carries not a single birthday balloon. And even without my presence, for I was not yet born, as a kindred poet might mourn the death of many and utter the demise of the innocent holy. I'll tell you a thing or two nobody knew about Wehrmacht's killing of school children in the Krajewski massacre, where perished 1 million Jews, Romanis, Muslims, Macedonians, and Slovenes without proper burial, or the mercy bestowed by Christ's thorn of thorns. Yet I refrain from a full stop comment on terror. Let this historical treachery be the pallbearer and simply leak a river from open veins in its tread. Let this mark the remains of the dark bludgeoned evening instead. May the dread that was captured by Desinka haunt with its verse by passing swift judgment on the evil and perverse. And of course, while the rest of the civilized world slept tight in Pantheon slumber and cordial salivating fantasies outnumbered by not so tender mercies, the reality of the War of the Worlds makes amends with society's ignoble turds. Might we air out the laundry of genocide so it shan't happen once more accidentally tonight? Lest yet another menacing plot be pre-planned by some dictatorial snot in the end. For the reservoir of atrocities against humanity reserves its place in plain honest sight. Let us not fail to eradicate that supreme maniacal so that it shan't ever surrender to its Aryan blasphemous might. And may we all rest well tonight. Thank you.
Amazing. Thank you, Sophia. What vivid language. I can only imagine how amazing it sounds in Serbian as well. Does who translates for her?
I don't, she's been translated by many poets. I've seen some Russian translators, I've seen some Czech translators, some English, American. This is my work. So I just wrote it in English. I didn't have to translate it. I just wrote it for her about what she wrote about this massacre.
You wrote that as a tribute to her.
Yes.
Great. I was going to say, I'm sure one of the hardest things to translate must be poetry because the language is,
absolutely, yes,
so very important and different. The idiom is so different. Well, that was brilliant. Thank you so much. I must try and learn how to pronounce Maximovich properly. Better? Okay, I'll keep working on that. Next up, we are delighted to welcome to her first Salon Symphony, Jenny Yip, who is representing Hong Kong, and the artist Priscilla Mack. Jenny is an illustrator, artist and designer who's been in New York City for 25 years, working with clients nationwide and internationally. And 15 of Jenny's illustrations, art pieces, were recently purchased by a private collector at the Just Looking Gallery in California, and directly from her. And Jenny's artworks are also reproduced in one of her clients' award-winning books. So that's fantastic, Jenny. Jenny is honouring Priscilla Mack, as I said, who is an architect turned fashion trend illustrator. So I think we're going to look at some of Priscilla's work, and Jenny will be sharing her screen. But I will let Jenny tell you more. Over to you, Jenny. Thank you. Jenny, you're muted. I was muted then too. All the Jennys were muted. It was a conspiracy.
Yes. Can everyone hear me now? Okay. Hi, hi everyone again. Happy International Women's Day. I live in New York City in the US, but my homeland is Hong Kong. And as Jenny, thank you for your introduction. I pretty much emigrated here when my father brought the whole family. So I pretty much grew up and raised here in the US. However, one of my dear friends and colleague who also lived here moved to Hong Kong about 20 years now with her husband, and she was a former architect but loved fashion illustration and art, and so she switched her profession and study at Fashion Institute of Technology, which is also my alma mater, and she graduated summa cum laude, as did I as well. And so so we have a few things in common, but I'm very proud of her and represent some of her work tonight, as she works very hard, going from architecture to art, and you know, just really study and practice for many years, you know, and she's also very very positive person, have great spirit. She often uplifts me when you know, trying times that I've gone through. However, I know we don't have a lot of time. I would be just happy to show some of her work. These are just some of her recent work. I believe she has been doing, I don't know if you all can see, or Jenny, are you able to maybe upload some of the 5 or some of them, the files that I sent you?
Oh, did
If
you?
not, if not, I'll do my best to show from my iPad. I believe she yeah, she focused in fashion illustration, but these are some of her recent work that are non-fashion. I think this was stained glass. And then here's oh, sorry. Another one. Oh, sorry. This is very similar. The next 3 are her, oh, this is black and white, her non-fashion work, sorry. This is one of her many fashion illustration. She worked and still still a fashion trend illustrator for many years, and for a magazine, I think Fashion Insider. So I'm just proud of her because, you know, it wasn't easy for her to transition from an architect to fashion illustrator and artist, but with hard work and dedication and determination, you know, she's been making a career in art for 25 years, more or less. And, you know, just very encouraging. And as I said, she's a very positive person, and just offer her help anytime. She's been there for me many times. So I just like to celebrate her. And thank you all for listening.
Wonderful. Thank you, Jenny. That work looks amazing. We have got to get them through in an email, but we haven't managed to get them off the email yet. But we'll try and see, maybe Heidi can have a look at doing that whilst we move through our last few artists, and we can certainly share them on, well, I don't know if the copyright will let us share them on Facebook, but yeah, I'm sure we can certainly share links to Priscilla's work online in the global interwebs. So next up we have another artist, actually another visual artist, who is Amada, who is a cartoon artist from Mexico. And Amada's just been involved in a vernissage that Heidi has been doing in New York City, and very generously created some International Women's Day cartoons. And we wanted to give all of our participants to today's event, we wanted to, or Amada and I thought it would be nice to share those cartoons with each of you. So we'll try and get those out to you some way, even if it's just kind of sending you the image. So let me just find there. So Amada is a cartoonist born in Mexico City and working in Manhattan, and spent her formative years in Miami, though she denies allegations about that, apparently. That's a place to come from. And Amada earned a BLA with a focus in sociology and an MS in a Master of Science in Computer Science, and she refers to her collective degrees as computing society. Yeah, they do sound like an interesting combination of things to have studied. And she eschews digital mediums in favour of hand-drawn illustrations, which she calls artisanal memes. You should follow her on Instagram, and we'll definitely forward that for a feed of no fake news, just propaganda. That sounds cool. So how old were you when you first started like doodling cartoons, Amada?
Hi, thank you so much for inviting me. This is such a great group of people, and it's so nice that you're organizing this on this special day. And I started doing cartoons in, I think, 2017. So I don't know how, maybe I was like 23, 24. And it's because I was studying computer science and doing an internship in data science, and it was very much not interesting to me. So I started doing cartoons at work, and that's something that I enjoyed much more, and continued doing it for fun and on Instagram, and then eventually started having people request like custom images for friends, for birthdays, and then it turned into kind of a little business on the side. And but you know, more importantly, I just like doing it to connect with people and have a laugh.
Yeah, no, it's definitely fun. It's quite an unusual thing for women to do, though, isn't it? Still, I feel like.
I think so. I mean, I guess I'm totally biased in my filter bubble of what I see on Instagram. I see women cartoonists, but I do think historically maybe it's like skewed more towards men, definitely, like you said. So yeah, but I'm having a lot of fun with it. I still don't identify as an artist. I mean, I identify as a cartoonist. I just think a lot of like painting and video and different art forms and poetry is just like a lot more deep than what I do. But thank you for inviting me.
No, thanks for coming along. Do you have any inspirations in the world of female cartooning? And of course, I have to say that you are most definitely an artist. Everyone's got an artist in them some way. You've just got to. Oh, here's Heidi's illustrating the one. Can everybody see that? It's pretty.
Oh yeah.
Is that the one that we're going to share with everybody? The one that we've got some copies of?
Yes, I was at a printer last week, and it's a woman-owned business in Queens called Découpage and Assemblage. Anyway, so they were. I was there for another reason, and then was invited to the show, so I just got those printed. Thank you for sharing, Heidi. So yeah, inspirations. You know, I can't. I think this kind of speaks to the nature of Instagram, but I don't even remember their names. I just kind of follow accounts, and I'm absolutely inspired by them. There's one called Filthy Rat Bag. That sounds kind of weird, but that one's funny. I really like it. But yeah, I'm also just inspired by current events in general. And
because I guess there's quite a political history to the art form of cartooning, isn't it? It often is used in propaganda, and it can convey messages in a very succinct, effective way. That sometimes, you know, more traditional art forms, it just takes a longer time to get the same message across.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think because I can sort of get a cartoon done in 30 minutes, I can sort of speak to something that just happened and post it, versus like another art form would take a lot more time. So yeah, I suppose that's definitely true. And during COVID, and especially at the start of quarantine, I started doing more cartoons more frequently, and my friends sort of commented that they were like better, like my work was getting better, and I suppose it's because I was feeling more emotions.
Were you affected by Black Lives Matter? Did that kind of inspire you to create work around that?
I didn't create work around that. I just felt that it wasn't my place to comment on it, and I really didn't. I wasn't sure. I think you have to be skillful to create something that uses humor around such a serious topic, and I didn't trust myself to do that. So I didn't comment on it, but of course that's an extremely important movement, and I was happy to see so much art around it. But I did do a lot of cartoons related to COVID, definitely. So maybe I should share my screen.
Yeah, let's see some.
Show those. Great. Share screen. So, all right. And what can you see? I think it's just should be just my Instagram. Hopefully not my social security number. Which
yeah. Wait, write it down.
So I guess this is the first one I did. And this was March 12th. So I think that's the first day that I didn't go to work. Well, I worked from home. And so it's kind of like what I would imagine if coronavirus was a heavy metal band, what the t-shirts for the show would look like. So it's presented by Wuhan, and it's showing it's it's going on tour and selling out, and there's more cities to be announced daily. And the sponsors were all of the big companies that I saw were benefiting and surviving in this in crisis. And I tried to make T-shirts and sell them, but nobody wanted to buy them, which makes sense because people didn't want to spend money. And this one is, I guess they're all kind of sad. I don't like thinking about people being out of work, but I was trying to bring some humor. But yeah, this is the guy in Washington, which park it is, Union Square, who gives out free hugs, and I've hugged him before. And I guess he wasn't able to continue doing that. This is a stripper working from home. Anyway, I actually, with some friends for a bachelor party, hired some virtual strippers, and like they were really thankful that people were engaging with them, and because I mean it's their job, and I'm glad I was able to translate for some of them virtually, and that they were able to continue working. See, or no, sorry, it was not a bachelor party, bachelorette party. That one. This is a couple getting married, divorced, and remarried during self-isolation. And it just kind of drew this after seeing articles. I mean, obviously, China was first impacted, so some of the news coming out of there was sort of prescient to what would happen in the US. But I saw that divorce rates in a certain city were spiking a few months into quarantine. And then I started thinking, okay, if you give it a little bit more time, will they get remarried and then divorced again, considering this might last a couple of years? And this is one's commentary on millennials finally getting what we always wanted, going viral. Millennials are always trying to create content that will spread. This one's very dark. But it says employees no longer have jobs to return to, but must still wash hands or they will die. And anyway, this is just a play on Dorothy and the Wizard of Oz. There's no place but home instead of like home. And her slippers are more like slippers you wear at home. And I was doing a lot of puzzles during COVID, and then kind of got very obsessed with puzzles. And I had never been interested in them before. And I felt like it gave me small projects to complete where I could feel like a sense of control and like accomplishment at the end of it. This one, this is just what I imagine the cast of Zoolander the issues that they would have with, and then I ended up redrawing it actually with tiny phones. Here it is with someone told me like, hey, this would be better and funnier if the phones were little. So I redid it. And then someone bought it for a charity thing, so I donated it. And then lastly, this health hero paused his extramarital affair to protect his family from COVID. So yeah, anyway, I think we'll give someone else the chance to go.
Awesome though. What a great collection. Are you going to try and publish them?
Yeah, I'm not sure how to go about that, but
someone here can help. I think they're cool. I think you can totally do something with those for sure.
Thank you.
Yeah. And thank you for so generously donating one of your cartoons for us Salon symPhoNistas.
Oh, my pleasure. Anytime.
Yeah, best of luck with everything. They were really fun, and yeah, it's tricky to make fun out of the pandemic in some ways as well. And I think you really succeeded. Awesome. I love the writing. Did you do scripts as well? Yeah, that was really cool. Yeah. Right. Well, now we're going to go down under, a long way away, for the nation of Australia, which is one of the few places in the world where it is safe to escape from COVID. But unfortunately, Camilla Maxwell doesn't live there at the moment. She lives in Buffalo. So she's as stuck as most of the rest of us are. Camilla Maxwell is representing Australia. She was born in Sydney and is an award-winning scriptwriter who's had plays produced all around the world and has a degree in writing for the media from Macquarie University, which is in Sydney. Is that how you say it? No.
Macquarie.
It's got a Q in it. A complicated word with Q's in. And she also has an advanced degree in acting for film, theatre and television from the American Academy of Dramatic Arts in New York.
Fancy that.
And Camilla's going to be honouring a writer called Dorothy McKellar. And I'll let Camilla tell you more about Dorothy and then honour her work. Go ahead, Camilla. Thank you for joining us.
Hello, everybody. Yeah, so Dorothy McKellar, she was born in 1885, and she's a poet and a novelist. And she wrote a really famous poem called My Country, which was actually turned into a song and kind of became the unofficial anthem for Australia. And what I love about this poem is when she wrote it, she was traveling through England translating for her father because she could speak all these different languages. And she'd come across all these aristocratic men who would speak to her and say, oh my God, Australia is so different. All these English men saying Australia is so different. It's so different to where we're from. And basically she took it as, and I'm so different because I'm from there too. And so she started to get really homesick. And rather than arguing with these people over time, she just started telling them, yeah, it is different, but this is what makes Australia so great. We are both different. We love different things, and my heart is in Australia. And on top of that, there is the metaphor that she was a 19-year-old woman, and she was not just writing about her country in this poem, she was also writing about herself. So that's what I really like about it, because it's describing the beauty and the fragility of the country as well as the terror. And we all know we can all be a little bit terrifying as women sometimes as well, but Australia is also really powerful. So I like to read it with that metaphor. So that's what the first paragraph is all about England and how people feel about England, and then it goes on to explain how she feels about Australia. Okay. My country. The love of field and coppice, of green and shaded lanes, of ordered woods and gardens is running in your veins. Strong love of grey-blue distance, brown streams and soft dim skies. I know but cannot share it. My love is otherwise. I love a sunburnt country, a land of sweeping plains, of ragged mountain ranges, of droughts and flooding rains. I love her far horizons. I love her jewel sea, her beauty and her terror, the wide brown land for me. The stark white ring-barked forests, all tragic to the moon, the sapphire misted mountains, the hot gold hush of noon. Green tangle of the brushes where lithe lianas coil, and orchards deck the treetops and firms the warm dark soil. Core of my heart, my country, her pitiless blue sky. When sick at heart around us, we see the cattle die. And then the grey clouds gather, and we can bless again the drumming of an army, the steady soaking rain. Core of my heart, my country, land of the rainbow gold, for flood and fire and famine, she pays us back threefold. Over the thirsty paddocks, watch after many days, the filmy veil of greenness that thickens as we gaze. An opal-hearted country, a willful, lavish land, and you who have not loved her, you will not understand. Though earth holds many splendors, wherever I may die, I know to what brown country my homing thoughts will fly. There's also an interesting fact. She actually never married. So in diary entries, there was the consideration that she might have been a lesbian, and that this was also a bit of a love poem to a woman that she loved. So that's that.
Oh, we like a bit of sauce at the International
A
Women's
bit of sauce.
Bit saucy. Thank you, Camilla. That was fab. What a fabulous artist. Well, we've now come to our final artist of this evening, who is the wonderful Christine Dixon, who is a member of the Girls in Blue, the NYPD, SAG-AFTRA, the New York Women in Film and Television, and for over 8 years she's been touring her one-woman show about Harriet Tubman herself, and she portrays Harriet Tubman in a short film era that won awards in film festivals across the world. So as Harriet Tubman, she's honouring the country of Canada and also America, and of course Black history everywhere, because she was such an important person in every way. She was renowned as a Black liberator, and she was a brilliant spy. And we knew that she'd go down in history as the first woman to successfully plan and lead a military expedition during the Civil War. She died on March the 10th, 1913, at just 93 years young. And Christine Tubman will now resurrect Harriet Tubman for us here and now in the Salon Symphony Online 2021. Take it away, Christine.
My train is headed for freedom. My train. My train is headed for freedom. My train. When folks get on board, it is always nighttime. When they get off, it is such a bright time. 'Cause my train is headed for freedom. My train. My train is headed for sunshine. My train. My train is headed for sunshine. My train. When folks get on board, it's always nighttime. When they get off, it is such a bright time. My train is headed for freedom. My train. I am Harriet Tubman. And I was born in America, but I am Ashanti. I was born in 1820, Dorchester County, Maryland. June 1st, 1863, I went down in American history as the first woman to plan, lead, and execute a raid on the Combahee River. Throughout my life, I freed over 3,000 people. However, I did not free my mother and father until near the end of their lives. You see, in 1850, Congress passed the Fugitive Slave Law Act, stating that no free state in America could harbor or shelter any escaped slaves. So I had to bring my parents up to Canada. I brought them up to St. Catharines, where we live. So now my mother never learned how to read or to write, yet she was a very, very wise woman. My mother told me that the word fear, F-E-A-R, has 3 definitions. My mother told me, baby, it is false evidence appearing real.
And now, ladies, I know I heard that there's some type of pandemic or COVID-19 going on right now, but I just want to say what my mama told me about the word fear. Like I said, 3 definitions. The first one, false evidence appearing real. The second one, you can fear everything and run, or you can face everything and rise. And ladies, I'm here today to tell you on International Women's Day that you all have an essence, the essence of me inside all of you. And I know that all of you will face everything and rise, no matter what trials and tribulations come your way. Now, like I said, my mother and father were the last people that I ever brought to freedom. And I sometimes think that this was my greatest achievement ever. Yes, you see, my parents were old now and their life was simple, but praise the Lord, they were free. I could see them there in the morning, slowly walking by, hands in hand, on the other side of Jordan, safe and sound in the promised land. Jenny and Heidi, I thank you so much for putting this together. And beautiful ladies, I wish you all a happy International Women's Day. And Mama Mona Murphy Martel, thank you for writing an amazing show for me. Because when folks get on board, it's always at night time when they get off. It is such a bright time. My train is headed for freedom. My train. Thank you.
Wow, amazing. Thank you so much, Chris.
Thank you.
Clever. Who'd have thought that Harriet Tubman's spirit would be alive and well in the Zoom room? Well, it was here for Salon Symphony 2021. Thank you so much. That was such an inspiring array of artists that we had with us. In that section, we had Nicola Murphy for Ireland, we had Sophia Roma for Serbia, we had Jenny Yip for Hong Kong, we had Camilla Maxwell for Australia, and we had Christine Dixon for Canada and the United States and Africa, I suppose. So that was fantastic. So that kind of brings us to an end of the scheduled program that we had. If anybody out there in Zoom land would like to contribute, then you're more than welcome to do so. If not, then let's just kind of raise a water I'm on, because it's Monday. I try and have at least one dry day a week. So the artists that we learned about today and we heard from and we had their work revered and honoured were Katina Paxinou for Greece, Keris Matthews for Wales, Jimena Gonzalez for Mexico, Jen McGregor for Scotland, Julie Andrews for England, Edna O'Brien for Ireland, Disanka Maximonovic for Serbia, Dorothy McKellar for Australia, and Priscilla Mack for Hong Kong. And we also saw some of the fantastic work of Amada Cartoons, and hopefully we'll be able to see some more of her work. So thank you to all of the wonderful artists. Thank you to Maria, Laura Lee, Adriana, Angela, Emily, and Nicola, and Jenny, and Camilla, and Chris, and Amada, and Sophia. I've just got a couple more inspirational quotes as well to send you off skipping into the night of International Women's Day 2021. You couldn't really have International Women's Day commemoration without mentioning Emily Cowper, who was hugely instrumental in securing votes for women in the United Kingdom. And Emily, who think women cannot succeed think Harriet's going wild in the aisles there. Emily said, I want to say to you who think women cannot succeed, we have brought the government of England to this position that it has to face this alternative. Either women are to be killed or women are to have the vote. And my mum bought me this a couple of years ago because that was a commemoration of votes for women in the UK, which happened only after World War I proved that women were capable of doing the jobs that men had traditionally done. Another quote is from Margaret Atwood, who is another favourite Canadian. And she said, does a feminist mean large, unpleasant person who will shout at you, or someone who believes women are human beings? To me, it's the latter, so I sign up. And that's from her. And then this is one to leave you with. So just, is that Paisley? Just close Paisley's ears a little bit, Camilla. So Betty Friedan, who is a writer and an activist, said, no woman gets an orgasm from shining the kitchen floor. So just remember that, guys. You might get it more from your art. What's that, Mona?
To make a statement, I'm the author. My husband and I wrote the Harriet Tubman show for Christine specifically because we knew she would be fantastic.
Oh, amazing.
You heard his songs, and I wrote the script, but the script has developed into something very, very special. But coming here today has been so wonderful for me because two people who are here, Angela Milton from Scotland. Angela was in a play of mine in Staten Island on the Staten Island Ferry about 15 years ago. And she was also in Outdoor Shakespeare in Manhattan as Titania in Midsummer Night's Dream. So I'm seeing Angela again after a number of years. Hello, Angela, I will email you. And then Cindy Cooper, whose play I performed in the Greenwich Village of Strange Light. Cindy turns out to be here too. So I'm touching base with two dear, dear people who I've lost touch with because I'm now living in Hollywood, California.
Oh, that's great. See, I mean, you know, sometimes it feels like, you know, Zoom is a poor substitute for the live experience of theatre, but then it does enable things like this, which would never, you know, you would never have made those connections again. We would never have been able to have Angela here from Scotland in reality. So yeah, so a bit of electricity goes a long way sometimes, I would say. Well, it's great to have you. It's Morna, is that your name? Morna and Ralph?
Morna Murphy Martell.
Oh, it's great to see. Yeah, we've had the great pleasure of having Christine involved with the Salon Symphony for a number of years, and
she's the one who told me about it today, which is why Ralph and I decided to see it. But see Angela, and I'm like, oh my gosh, it's Angela, and then Cindy. So it's like old whole week.
Yeah. Oh, that's fantastic. Thank you so much. Small interconnected world of women artists everywhere, which we're very delighted to be able to honour and hold in our hearts today. So, would anybody else like to say anything? Do you want to hang out for a bit, or Heidi's waving a bit. Emily's having a wave.
Yeah. Yes. Make sure I'm off mute, right? Okay. So thank you to everybody for presenting these amazing women creatives from your home countries and sharing your spirit of just, you know, wanting to help raise up women's artistry in general. And we're all in it together. And I've had the great pleasure of meeting most of you in person, and I just look forward to continuing our journeys together, synergizing, continuing to raise up women's artistry wherever we are in the world. So please, we are taking International Women Artists Salon to a new level in this coming year. So please stay connected. Let me know what you're doing and how we can collaborate together and raise up women's artistry in your area of the world, in your industry, your discipline. And we do have, Jenny mentioned it earlier, we have a visual art exhibition that's going on right now called Spring Forward here in the village. It's online as well. So if you go to our social media, you'll see where you can connect and see that artwork. We have a couple of the artists that joined us today, Vera and Sadia and Amada, who donated her cartoon to our our Salon sYmphoNY today, and others who joined us and left. But thank you for everybody being here today. And it just raises my spirits, keeps me motivated and inspired to keep on doing what International Women Artists Salon does. And thank you to Jenny for your illustrious hosting and coordinating and co-producing. So blessings to everybody. Stay healthy and stay in touch and keep on creating.
Emily, did you want to say thank you, Heidi? That was a lovely tribute as always. And Heidi is a great supporter of women artists everywhere. And if you ever have anything that you need kind of supporting or you want in any way, then Heidi is she's always got you back, and will help you as much as she can. And she's a great connector. So amongst other things. Emily, did you want to say something?
Well, I feel a bit bad now because Heidi just kind of closed the show. But I was going to be a little
sorry, but you could be my wonderful footnote. Go ahead.
Well, I wanted to be a little bit cheeky and selfish and promote the play that I've written, because I'm going to do a virtual reading. And even though I chose Julie Andrews, who may not be, the best choice considered how many amazing British women there have been, my play is about the Me Too era in the 1950s. So it does serve more of a point and raises women up, so to speak. And it's about Dagmar, who was the first female TV presenter and once the highest paid television woman star of all time. So I'll be doing that on March the 21st at 5 p.m. and it'll be a virtual reading, and I would love to see all your faces. I'll post it on Facebook. Please connect. You guys are all wonderful. Thank you for having me, and thank you, Jenny and Heidi.
Oh, thanks, Emily. Yeah, totally. If anyone's got anything to promote, then don't feel embarrassed. This is definitely a good, I know that loads of you are doing great work. So, if you want to kind of mention anything here now, then do so, or we'll post any links, anything on the Facebook page, and yeah, and spread the word for you.
I'd like to say something.
Uh-oh. Go on, Maria.
I'm very inspired from this group of people that I thought that I should go back to theater again and start acting again.
Yeah?
Yeah.
You need to take off the Tina's
thank you for that, because I lost track a little bit. But I do a lot of photography, and I thought of sharing with you that because I'm working alone most of the time, that I found a photographer in Tokyo, and I did some parallel work with him. Like, I compared what I did with what he did, and we were working on the same themes at the same time. So I thought of sharing with you the knowledge I have now, that no matter where we are around the world, we all are together. It's like this continuous thing that we are all together, even if we are alone. Is amazing. I was so inspired by that feeling I had, that even if we are alone, we are together. So that's what I want to share with you.
That's very true. That's a nice philosophical point by Maria there. But yeah, I mean, we all vibrate in some ways or another. And there is a great synergy, especially with artists everywhere. And yeah, and that is to be celebrated for sure. So yeah. Camilla's looking alarmed.
Yeah.
Have you just
No, Adriana just said she pinned me, so I was making a face at her.
Oh, well, Adriana, best of luck with your film shoot. What a legend. Straight off a plane and into a Salon symphony.
Thank you. This was great. It was very inspiring, and it also makes me feel like I'm connected to all of you all over. So thank you for that.
Yeah, we are all connected. That's true. Emily shared her reading in the chat, but we'll make sure that we share it on the Facebook page as well. So yeah, I think it might be time to close out. So thank you so much to everybody for joining in. Thank you so much to everyone for watching.
Thank you, Jamie Moo. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Maria, for following me on Instagram. I just want to quickly thank you.
Yes, I will check. I wrote down all of your names and I will do some follow-up later with you people. And okay.
Watch out.
Thank you. Good night.
Watch out for my Greek vibe.
Thank you to Angela, thank you to Emily, thank you to Chris, thank you to Sophia, thank you to
Heather.
Thank you to Jenny, thank you to Camilla, and thank you to Amanda and Heidi.
Thank you, Jenny. Thank you.
Thank you, Jenny.
Thank you, Jenny.
All the time. Love you.
Thank you.
Thank